Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming and joining us as we are dedicated, co-sponsored by the Rezepkowitz family in honor of their parents. And we are co-sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Eddie Chazan, Rafur Shalema for Shoshana Bas Panina and Simone Bas Rachel, co-sponsored by Binyamin Rivlin, Lili Nishmas Yitzhak Ben Avram Yehuda Levi, by Sheldon Zeitlin for his children, Eli, Orit, and Ora, Beirich Goatzer for Shalema for Moshe Meir ben Esther Fadel and Dov Meir ben Chaya Gittel, and Akos Atoy for the Shir by Shalom Fogeli, Lenishmas Yaakov Zeb ben Yehuda Aye, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas God, and Yosef ben Tzion ben Yaakov Zeb, that the Neshama should have an Aliyah. We are holding two lines from the bottom of Daf Samach Tes Samach Beis. So ben v'loy bas, the din of ben Sarah Amira is only by a boy and not by a girl. Tanya, so Braisa says, Amrab Shimon, dinu shetei bas ru'ya liyoske ben Sarah Amira. Really, logic would tell us that a girl should also be executed as a ben Sarah Amira. If she steals the meat and she steals the wine and guzzles it and does all the things, then why should she be different? Because it's about what's going to happen later, that because of her habits, she's going to end up to kill and murder, as the Gemara tells us on the top of Daf Ayin Amar Aleph, Shakol Mitzuyin Etzla Ba'aveira, because what she's going to do, even if she won't murder, in order to make money, in order to fund her illicit her gluttonous habit, she's going to sell her body and even commit adultery if she's married. But we don't say it, it's a divine decree. Ben v'loy bas, that the din of Ben Sarah Amira is only by a boy and not by a girl. Okay, get ready now. Rabbi said to start the new Mishnah on the top of Ayin Amud Aleph as we welcome in Yaakov Warman, Irving Fishbaum, Dov Solkowitz, Mel Zachter, A.B. Spry, Shelley Zeitlin, Berish Gesserman, Saba, Marshall Castle, Barry Cement, Rabbi Kranz, Nachman Chapler, Baruch Ian, Dr. Guy, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Moshe Lehman, Eddie Chazan, Naftali Jablin, Avram Rezepkowitz, Abe Arbach, and David Helfgott. And now coming in with us is Chaim Lerner. And Chaim Lerner has joined us, and Ruvain Shannon has just joined us as well. And we're up to the new Mishnah, 2 lines from the top. Ruvain, welcome. New Mishnah, 2 lines from the top of Daf Ayin Amud Aleph. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. Me'amasai chayiv. At what point is the boy going to be liable for the death sentence? Mishiyoichel tarmeitar tartamar baser, when he eats a tartamer of meat, and which we will see is a half a mana of meat, v'yishta chatzi lo yayin al talki, and drink a half a lug of Italian wine. The Italian wine is more addictive than regular wine, and therefore it's dafka Italian wine. Rabbi Yossi says it's a double amount, mana baser, only a mana of meat, v'loy yayin, and a full lug of wine. Achal b'chaburas mitzvah, if however he ate it in a group of a mitzvah, let's say he ate it by a pidyon aben or a bris milah, achal b'ibra achodesh, or he ate the meal that was made to publicize that the previous month was an extra day was added, and Rosh Chodesh was on the 30th day and not on the 29th day. Achal Meiser Sheni B'Yerushalayim, if he ate Meiser Sheni Yerushalayim, which is the proper mitzvah. Achal Nevelos L'Trevish Shkatzim U'Ramasim, you see, if he did something wrong, he's only a ben Sarah Amira if Einenu Shemea B'Koleinu, he doesn't listen to the voice of his parents. But if he doesn't listen to the voice of God, then he's not a ben Sarah Amira. Therefore, Achal Nevelos, if he ate Nevelos, meat that wasn't shechted, treifos, he ate even meat that was shechted but had a fatal flaw and it could not live a year. Shkatzim, he ate different types of rodents and lizards and flying creatures, or ramasim, and things that crawl very close to the ground, like ants and beetles. Achol tevel ma'aser sheni shaloi nitlo trumasa, he ate non-tithe produce. He ate ma'aser rishon that truma wasn't taken from trumas ma'aser, or ma'aser sheni v'hektish shaloi niptu, or ma'aser sheni an hektish that wasn't redeemed. Achol davar mitzvah, if he ate something which is a mitzvah, which the Gemara will explain. The Gemara will explain that he ate something that was a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, or v'davar shu aveira, like he ate on the tanis. Achol kol machal, if he ate a lot of food, he fressed away he ate 3 branzini fish, but he didn't eat meat, or shasa, he drank a lot of beer, shasa kol mashke, he drank a lot of beer, v'lo shasa yayin, but he didn't drink wine. Eina nasa ben sera meira, he is not subjected to the death sentence of ben sera meira. Actually, yoicha basav yishta yayin, until he eats meat and drinks wine. Shenemar zolel v'sovei. Now, how do we know zolel v'sovei refers to meat and wine? V'afal pi shein raya l'davar, even though there isn't a clear proof, zeichel l'davar, there is a hint. Shenemar al tehi b'sovei yayin, don't be amongst those that guzzle wine. Or those that are gluttonous with meat. Now, remember we said tartamar, we didn't know what it was, but since the chatzi leg was half of the leg of Rabbi Yossi, so tartamar is half of Rabbi Yossi, and since Rabbi Yossi said a mana, so tartamar is a chatzi mana. Let's see that inside. I'm Rab Zera. Tartamar zeh ein yoda ma. We didn't have a clear idea of what its definition is. Since Rabbi Yossi doubled wine, the Tanakama said a chatzi leg, and he said a leg, so therefore, the same way, nimtza koifel af b'basar, he doubles also the meat. So since he says a mana, so a tartema must be a chatzi mana. But nimtza tartema, a chatzi mana is a half a mana, as we welcome in Stephen Holtzman, we welcome in Michal Chabin, we welcome in Dr. Black, Gedalia Engel. Wonderful to have everybody here joining us, as 29 Zoomers have already joined us this evening.
Chatzia looks supposed to be a lot. Doesn't seem like it's so much.
What?
The Chatzia look.
It's very, very strong and addictive. And he does it twice. We'll see. Doesn't do it once, he does it twice. Amrav Chanan bar Moloda, Amrav Huna Einay Chayiv Achiyikach Basa Bezul. He only is chayiv when he buys the meat cheap, and v'yoichel yayin bezul, and drinks the wine cheap, because if he only buys expensive stuff, it's not going to be easy for him to steal and keep up the habit, and therefore we're not worried so much. And the siv zolel v'sovei, and we dash in the word zolel to also mean zol, cheap. V'amrav Chanan bar Moiloda amrav Huna einei chayiv at sheyoichel basar chay v'yishta yayin chay. He's only chayiv if he eats raw meat and drinks raw wine. Now the Gemara is going to say raw meat doesn't count. Raw meat is not considered an achila. Says any is that so? Rabbi Yosef Dimrei Travayu Ochel Basar Chai. If he drinks raw meat, eats raw meat, v'yishta yayin chai, and he drinks wine that's not diluted, ein nasa ben sara mayr, but that's not considered eating at all. Amar Avina, yayin chai means mozig v'loy mozig, blended but not completely blended. The normal blending is 2 parts water, 1 part wine. This was blended but not completely blended. Basar chai is if he eats it like a thief who doesn't have that much time to cook his meat. Bashal v'loy bashal, it's cooked but not fully cooked. It's a rear. Kebasar kiva, like meat that just scorched on the coals. The achle ganve, the way that the thieves eat it. Rabbi Yosef Dimrei Travayo, achel basar maliach, if he eats salted meat, so that's meat that's not fresh. V'shasa yayim megitay, and if he drinks wine that's just out of the vat, that's not fermented, ein nasa ben sara mayr. This stuff is not addictive, and he doesn't become a ben sara mayr. It's not hasam. Erev Tisha B'Av, on the eve of Tisha B'Av, lo yochel adam shnei tavshilin. By the Sudas HaMafsekes, you're not allowed to have 2 cooked dishes. And during the whole day, we don't already do it for 9 days. But Me'ikar Adin, on Erev Tisha B'Av, you can't eat meat and you can't drink wine. V'tana, aval oichelu basar maliach, he could eat salted meat because that's already not fresh. In those days, they didn't refrigerate it. They just heavily salted it, and it's not fresh anymore. And he could drink wine out of the vat, because that's not wine yet, it's not fermented. Basar maliach ad kama, when do we say that it's old already, and he could eat it Erev Tisha B'Av? Rab Chanina bar Kahana calls manshu kishlamim, as long as it's like a shlamim. A shlamim could be eaten by 2 days and 1 intervening night. As long as it's like a shlamim, that's considered fresh, and that he can't eat on Erev Tisha B'Av. V'yayin megita yad kama, and when could he still have wine from the vat? Calls manshu toises. As long as it's still bubbling, it's still in its fermenting stage. But says the Gemara V'Hatanya, yayin toises, fermenting wine while the wine is bubbling, ein by mishum gilui. There's no problem if it was uncovered in the night, because the snake won't go near it while it's bubbling. The kama tisisasai, and how long is that period? Shloisha yom, 3 days. So the Gemara says, Hachamai, over here what's the din? Hasam mishum simcha. Over there, by Erev Tisha B'Av, the criteria is that it shouldn't be simcha. Kolz manshu kishlamim, as long as it's within 2 days and a half, nami isbei simcha. Hacha mishum imshuchehu, but by ben sara mayr, it has to be very addictive. Or bekolshu, if it's salted and it's not really fresh, loy mimshach, it's not addictive. V'yayin, and wine, ad mem yoim, wine up till 40 days is still considered fresh and is not addictive for the ben sara mayr. It's nice to have 30 Zoomers here with us this evening, joining us, and I wonder what's happening with Mark. Anybody call Mark?
I'll send him a text right now.
Yeah, send him a text. Tell him we're Markless.
He's still celebrating the Super Bowl.
Now, Rav Chanan, Lo nivra yayin ba'olam. Why was wine made? You know, certain things cause so much trouble. So you wonder why Hashem made it. So Lo nivra yayin ba'olam ela lanachem avelim, to comfort the mourners, u'lishalem skal rishon, and to pay the wicked in this world so that they don't get any olam haba. Shenema tnu shecher la'oivei, give strong beverage to the one that's going to perish, to the rasha. V'yayin l'mari nefesh, and wine to the bitter of soul, to the bereaved. Amr Rabbi Yitzchak, what is that which is written in the pasuk? Al teira yayin ki yisadem. Don't look at wine, for it is red. Al teira yayin, don't look at wine. Shemeirim pneim shel rishaim ba'olam hazeh. It illuminates the faces of the wicked in this world, or malbim pneim la'olam haba, and pales them in the next world. In other words, they get their fix in this world, their reward for their small zechusim in this world, and then it leaves them bereft and embarrassed in the next world. Rava says, Al teira yayin ki yisadem. Al teira yayin, don't look at wine, shachri soidam, because its consequences is blood. First of all, a person, when he drinks wine, will, at the end, either be killed or killed because of it. Wine makes a person drunk and causes all kinds of problems. Many women were killed because of wine by drunken husbands. Rav Kahana asks a stira. Ksiv tirosh, v'karinon tirosh. It's written without a vav, defective, so it can be read tirosh, and it's read tirosh. Zocha nasa rosh. If a person merits, he becomes a head, and the wine clears his head in order to be able to learn Torah. So if he merits, he becomes a rosh. Loizacha, if not nasa rosh, the wine causes him to become impoverished, causes him to be lying drunk in the street by the Bowery, not being able to get a job. Rava Rami, ksiv yisamach, yayin yisamach levav enosh, but it could also be read v'karinin yishamach, desolation. Zocha, if he merits misamcha, the wine will make him happy. Yayin yisamach levav enosh. Lo yizacha mishamamasa, you will leave him desolate. V'hainu da'amar Rava said in the right amount, chamra v'reichone pikhin. Wine and fragrant smells open the mind and make a person intelligent. Amar Rav Amram B'Rei Rav Shimon bar Abba Amar Rav Chanina. Ma'idich siv, what is that which is written? L'mi oy, to who is woe? L'mi avoy, to whom is lament? L'mi midyonim, to whom is fighting and quarrels? L'mi shiach, to whom is pain? L'mi pitzam chinam, who gets beaten for nothing? L'mi chachlilos einayim, to whom does his eyes get red? L'ma'achrim alayayim, to those that stay late in the bar over wine. They're sitting by the counter drinking glass after glass. L'boim lachkor mimesach, those that come to inspect which wines are blended well.
Has nothing to do with bourbon, though, right?
No. Kios Rav Dimi Amar, when Rav Dimi arrived, he said, Imrei b'marava, they say in the West, Haikra mandidorish le mareishe l'seifa, midrash. This pasuk is reversible. It could be read from the front to the back, and it could be read u'maseifa l'reisha midrash. It could also be read from the back to the front. It could be read from the front to the back, and that is, to whom is there woe, to whom is there suffering, to who gets into quarrels and to needless fights, those that stay late with the wine, and those that are looking for the proper blend. Or you could read the pasuk from the end to the beginning. when you look for the proper blend, and when you delay over wine, then you will have bloodshot eyes and fights and needless wounds. Dorish Oiver Galilah. This was a man by the name of Oiver Galilah. As we welcome in Reb Keniel for our 31st Zoomer of the evening. So Dorish Oiver Galilah, expounded that in the next pasuk it has 13 vayis. Vay is woe. Yud Gimel Vavin Nemru B'yayin. It says 13 vayis about wine. Vayochel Noach, so that's a vay. Noach made himself profane. Isha Adama. Vayita Karen, that's the next vay. Planted a vineyard. Vayesh Minayayin, that's the third vay. He drank from the wine. Vayishka, that's the fourth. He got drunk. Vayisko B'saycha Aloi, and he revealed himself in the tent. That's the fifth one. Vayar Chom Avikanan as Ervasoviv. That's the sixth one. He saw the nakedness of his father. Vayagei L'shnei Echav. He told his two brothers, Shem, Cham, and Yafes. That's the, what is that, number 7 already? B'chutz. Vayikach Shem v'Yafes es hasimla, and Vayikach, that's number 8. Shem v'Yafes. I'm not sure if we're going to count the v'Yafes as hasimla. They took the cloak. Vayosimu al Shem Shneim. They put it on their shoulders. That's 9. Vayelchu acharaynis. And they walked backwards. That's 10. Vayechasu es erves abiyem. They covered the nakedness of their father. That's 11. Ufneihem leiro. They didn't see. He didn't see their face. Vayikatz nach miyenai, that's the 12. Vayedei sasher asalei b'nei hakatan, and he knew what his youngest son did. So it says 13 vayis, because there was a lot of vay because he drank the wine. Because he drank the wine, he got shikar, and Chum either castrated him or committed a homosexual act with him. He sodomized him. Rav Shmuel Chadam Asersei, one says that Chum castrated him so that Noach shouldn't have any more children. V'chadam Ravai, he committed sodomy. Mandam Asersei, the one that says that he committed castration, Mitoich Shekilkulu B'Ravi, since he stopped Noach from having a fourth child, so Kilulai B'Ravi, Chum's fourth child, Canaan, was cursed. Umandam Ravai, how do we know that Chum sodomized Noach? Gama vayar vayar, ksivacha vayar Chum avi Canaan as Ervas Aviv. Chum saw the nakedness of his father. V'ksiv hasam vayar roisa Shchem ben Chamor. So just like by Shchem he violated Dinah, so here too Chum violated his father. So Bishlam Ilaman Yamasirsu, that he castrated him. That's why he cursed the fourth child, because Chum stopped Noach from having a fourth child, so therefore Canaan, Chum's fourth child, was cursed. Elaman Yamarava, but because of sodomy, Maishna Revi, why is it the fourth child? Maltia Behedei, should have cursed him right away. Why the fourth child? Says the Gemara, Hava, even according to the one that he sodomized, he also castrated him. And that's why it's the fourth child. Noach profaned himself, Vayita Keren. Now how did he profane himself? By planting a vineyard. Says the Gemara, he should have known, you saw that the Eitz Hadas, a vineyard, brought death to mankind, and that's what you planted first. Amrav Chizda, Amrav Ukva, V'imrila Marukva, Amrav Zakai, Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Noach, Hashem said to Noach, Lo yoyelach l'lamed me'adam harishin, shouldn't you have learned from Adam harishin, sheloi garam lo yalayayim, it caused him to sin, the wine of the Eitz Hadas. You shouldn't have planted a vineyard first. Commander Amar, this is going according to the opinion that Oisei Ilan, the Eitz Hadas, she'achol mimeno Adam harishin, gefen haya, was a vineyard. And by the way, according to the opinion that it was a vineyard, that's why we make Kiddush on Friday night. Since Adam sinned with grape on Friday, we misaken the Chet Friday night by making Kiddush over wine. The Tanya Rameir Aymaisa Ilan Shachal Adam Rishim Mimenu Gefenaya. It was a vine, and it makes sense because there's no tree that brings so much wailing to the world. There's nothing that brings woe to a person. All kinds of problems with wine, with drunkenness, with wife beating, with people getting sicker and getting into accidents and killing people. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Chitahaya. The Eitz Hadas was wheat, because when is a child considered to be a bardas? When he's able to eat a piece of bread. She'ein hatinik yodea likra abba, a child is not intelligent enough to say tati, v'ima and mami, ad sheyitam tam dogim, until he could taste some cereal. So therefore wheat is the tree of das. According to this is the reason why we make Kiddush on bread, because we're being masakin the chita, if that was the pre of the Eitz Hadas. Reb Nechemia says, Te'ena haya. It was a fig. Why? Makes sense, because Hashem made for them a tunic out of figs. Now, why did he make a tunic out of figs? Because since they sinned with a fig, therefore, to be masakin, they made a tunic to cover their erva with fig leaves. That which they sin with by niskanu, that is what they were masakin to cover their nakedness. They sowed fig leaves. You see that no one over here says an apple. Also, there is an opinion elsewhere in the Medrash that it was an esrig. And Rav Soloveitchik says that's why on Sukkot we have to hold the esrig and touch the lulav, because we're showing that Adam sinned by taking the esrig off the tree and eating it, and we're trying to put the esrig back on the tree. By the way,
usually you say eight to take and not to samega. We don't blow the cow straight first. So why would it be opposite here?
Again, because we're showing a maisa to be masakin. Whether we're making kiddush to be masakin the sin, that's a tikkun. So sometimes we say a tikkun, the same rope that Rachav brought up her illicit visitors when she was Rachav Azayna, she used that same rope to save the spies being masakinit. It's brought down also that if a person sins with the chatas na'urim and stimulates the gid with their feet, they should be masakinit by using their feet to be a sandik. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch brings that down. I wanted to point out that we don't know the identity of the Eitz Hadas. The Mefarshim tell us that Hashem never mentioned what it was in order not to embarrass the tree, and that people shouldn't say that's the tree that brought death to mankind. You have to be very careful. That's why we don't tell you anything that Marshall does, right? Because we don't. Marshall, I never divulged a thing.
Thank you so much.
Never divulged a thing. I mean, you see how modestly he's dressed, the most modest color that he could find. Is very, very, mamish, he blends in with the terrain that you can't even notice him. If you pass by the shear, he's the last person that you would look at. Anyway, we Divrei Lemuel, the words of Lemuel Melech Masa, a vision, Asher Yisartoi Imai, that he was chastised by his mother. Shlomo HaMelech was chastised by Bathsheba. Amr Rav Yochanan Mishum Rav Shimon Yochai Melamed Shekaf Osei Imai Ala Amad. His mother, I'm not sure if this is figuratively or literally, tied him to a post. V'amrulai, and said to him, Ma Bri, what my son? O Ma Bar Bitni, what the son of my womb? O Ma Bar Nidri, and what the son of my vow? And the Gemara explains how she chastised him. Ma Bri, what my son? Hakol Yodim Shavicha Yori Shemayim Ab. Everybody knows your father, David HaMelech, is God-fearing. The way you're behaving with so much food and so much drink, people are going to blame it on me. It must be from my side of the family. Uma bar bitni, kol hanoshim shel beis avicha, all the other wives, and David HaMelech had 16 wives. Kol hanoshim shel beis avicha kevin shemis abrois. Once they became pregnant, shuv ein royis pnei HaMelech. They didn't take a turn in Bia once they became pregnant. Vani dochakti v'nichnasti, but I pushed my way even after I became pregnant, and even when it wasn't easy. Kedei she'yirei li ben mezuzah u'melubim, that you should be energetic and handsome, and this is the way you behave. Oma bar nidri, the son of my vow, kol nashim shel beis avicha, all the other wives, when they made a vow to tzedakah, they made a vow, Yehili ben Hagan Malchus, I should have the child that's fit for the throne. Vanina darti v'amarti, but what I vowed and said, Yehili ben Zoraz Mamulach b'Torah, I should have a son that's energetic and full of Torah, v'Hagan l'Nevius, and fit for prophecy. And this is the way you behave? Al l'malachim. Al malachim Lemuel, not to the kings Lemuel. Al malachim, not to the king Shisu Yain, drinking wine. So what does that mean? Al malachim, not like the kings. Amrulai, malach etzel malachim. What do you want by the kings? Sheshoisim Yain, they drink wine. Umishtakrim, and they get drunk. V'amrum lanu lanu el. What do we need a God for? That's Lemuel. What do we need a God for? Uluroiznim ei sheikha. And for those leaders, not strong beverage. Mi shekol razei oilim gluyim lei. Shlomo HaMelech was chacham mikol adam, a one who all the secrets of the world are revealed to him. Yishta yayim v'yishtaker, should drink wine and get drunk. Ikidamre, mi shekol roizne oilim mashkim lepischei. All those who know secrets wake up to his door and give him honor. Yishta yayin v'yishtaker, should drink wine and get shikr. Now we know that Shlomo HaMelech agreed to his mother's rebuke. Amr Yitzchak Menayin Shechayzer Shleimer V'Haydalimai. How do we know that Shlomo Melech retracted and admitted to his mother? D'chsiv kivar anoichi, I was foolish, me'ish, from a man, v'loi binas adam li, and I didn't have the intellect of Adam. Kivar anoichi me'ish, I was foolish from a man, minoyach, I was foolish, like Noach, that it says, d'chsiv v'yachal Noach ish adam v'yitekeret. V'loi binas adam li, and I didn't have the knowledge of Adam, ze Adam Arishin, who we know sinned also with wine. Achal b'chaburas mitzvah, if he ate by a gathering of a mitzvah, Am Rabbi Yavo, Eino chayev, ad sheyoichel b'chabura shekulei sreikin. He's only chayev if he eats with a group of people that are all empty heads. Sreikin is from the lashon of an ilan srak. It doesn't produce anything. So he's only chayev if he eats amongst a group of worthless people, of riffraff, because that lends itself to repetitive behavior. Only if it's a gathering of a mitzvah. Time of the mitzvah, it's only if it's a gathering of mitzvah, halav mitzvah. If it's not a mitzvah, afal gav the lav kulas rikin, even if they're not all worthless people, says Nimar, no, hakamash malan. The afal gav the kulas rikin, even if they're all worthless people, but it's opinion aben, kevin the mitzvah ka'asik, since it's opinion aben, a bris milah, lai mimshach. That's not something that's addictive. Achol be'iber achodesh, if he ate when they added an extra day to the previous month, now that's interesting. By that meal, to publicize that the previous month was Malay, did they serve meat and wine? L'meimer debasav yayin masku, did they serve meat and wine by that meal to publicize that the previous month was full? Vatanya ein oilen la ela b'pas dagan v'kidneyas bilvad. They only served bread and legumes. Hakamash malau and afal gavda ein oilen la b'pas v'kidneyas, and he had steak and wine. V'iyu asik basav yayin v'achol. But since it's a mitzvah, it's not infectious. Kevin the mitzvah ka'asik loy mimshach. It's not addictive. Tanar Rabbanan ein oilen be'ibra chodesh pachas me'asar b'nei adam. We don't do it with less than 10 people because 10 people publicize it. The ein oilen la'ala b'pas dogim b'kitnias. We serve bread and legumes. The ein oilen la'ala or iburay. That means that if the previous month was declared a 30th day month, so the 30th day is the extra day, the following night, the night going into the 31st, that's Or Iburay, the night following the pregnant day. They don't do it in the day, ela b'layla. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? Vatanya ein oilen la b'layla. They don't go up to the meal in the night. Ela b'yayim. So the Gemara says, yeah, both. Kidam Reb Chia bar Abba lebnei achrifu v'oilu. Go up to the meal while it's yet day. Rush up while it's yet day, so people that are still in the street will see you starting the meal. Upoku v'ulu and achrifu upuchu. And then be energetic and leave, which means that they left. Rashi has a girsa, achrifu pulku b'bayker, that they did it the whole night, and the fact that they did it the whole night gave it a well-known publicing, broadcasting. That people should hear about it. Achol Ma'aser Sheni B'Yerushalayim. Why? Because came to Ki Urchei Huka Achalei, since that's the way the mitzvah is done, Ma'aser Sheni Yerushalayim, Loi Mimshach, that won't be addictive. Achol Nevel Setrevish Gotzim Ramasim, says the Gemara, if a Ben Sarah Meir eats poultry, chicken, he's not executed. Amar Rava Achol Basar Oif Eina Nasa Ben Sarah Meir. Says the Gemara, Aiva Nan Tanan Ocham Level Strefish Gotzim Ramasim Eina Nasa Ben Sarah Meir. Mashma, only these things. Aval Tahirim Nasa Ben Sarah Meir. Says the Gemara, you're right. It could be because shkatzim is usually winged things. It implies only winged things that are not kosher, but winged things that are kosher, you would be chai, it would be executed. That's talking about kitna nami masnisan lahashlim, that these items were used only to complete the amount of a tartema. But a full tartema of even kosher poultry would not make a child a ben Sarah Meir. Achol davar shu mitzvah b'davar aveira. Dvar mitzvah is tanchumi avelim, like if he went to the meal that they served, the sudas havra, to comfort a mourner. Dvar aveira, that's tanas sibur, like a rabbinical fast, like tanas Esther. Now, the time of Mai, why if he ate a Dvar Aveira, that makes it even more aggravated. Why if he did a Dvar Aveira, why doesn't that make him Ben Sarah Meira? Because Amakra Einenu Shemea B'Kelenu. He doesn't listen to our voice. B'Kelenu, our voice, V'loi B'Kelu Shemakim. Not if he doesn't listen to Hashem. If he doesn't listen to Hashem, he doesn't become a Ben Sarah Umayra. Okay, we'll stop over here, Rabbi Isai. And don't forget that tomorrow we have both the Daf and the Chumashir. Also, we're going to learn the Mishnayos now. We still are looking for a sponsor for Thursday evening, the big share in the Young Israel of Deerfield Beach. If anybody wants to sponsor, 718-916-3100. And now we're going to learn the Mishnah Yomis.